So Petra's ambitious, and we know from last year that Petra actually tried to replace Alder, but it was an unsuccessful attempt. So we know this plan has been in the works for a while, and it's interesting to see how Tally's agenda and Petra's agenda kind of merge for a moment. Petra wants Nicte's story to come out. Tally tells Petra everything that we've learned with Tally about Nicte. And this is really interesting for Petra because it's the last item in a very long list of Alder's misdeeds.
I think Tally's surprised by Petra's invitation for mutiny. Her agenda is a little different from Tally's, but for Tally, it's to finally have the truth come to light.
Tally's very connected to the truth, and she just wants to make sure that Nicte's story is told, that what happened in Liberia becomes public knowledge. Nicte has done some terrible things in her life, and it's not that Tally excuses this. She just doesn't want what happened in Liberia to be swept under the rug.
So season 1, we start with Tally totally idolizing, fangirling over Alder. And we see that slowly being eroded. And that really takes us into season 2, which starts on this very deep, intimate connection between Alder and Tally. And again, we're in that ping pong between trust and distrust, and there's a sense of betrayal.
When we see Scylla and Raelle kind of come back together, it's very tentative. There's a lot to process, and there's a lot of trust that has to be rebuilt.
The delusion scenes were intense, for sure. The absolute most intense one was, of course, when Abigail was going through her delusion and was very close to killing us all.
Abigail's delusion is all about family. She's doing the famous Gem Bellwether working. The sort of hubris takes her, and she actually ends up killing her family, which is sort of the ultimate taboo. And that's what Nicte's after. She's looking to find everybody's darkest fear and exploit it. In Tally's delusion, we see Alder trying to re-biddy Tally, which is pretty terrifying and fun. But I think that's all about Tally really wanting to believe that Alder's a good person, but doubting that very seriously this season. So in the delusion, she sees a heightened sort of evil mommy dearest version of Alder.
Tally's delusion is really a combination of her darkest fear and wildest fantasy. It's almost like a sexual tension that Lynn plays so beautifully through the scene. She had me on my toes the entire time. I couldn't breathe. And then it's all around her, dropping the bomb that she's, taking me back to be a Biddy forever.
In Raelle's delusion, she sees her mom turn on her father and kill him in a really brutal way. And I think it's especially effective in that this is Nicte's attempt to drive Raelle crazy, to use this figure of her mom, someone who she has lost and found so many times. I think Nicte knew that Willa would be the way to get inside Raelle and turn her against herself.
Shooting our delusions was wild. It was a really, really tough scene to shoot. That sliver of doubt that she had felt episodes ago when her mother didn't show up for Samhain, I think a lot of that doubt is kind of coming to fruition. I think that's also why she believes it, and that fear of not being loved. And she gets so caught up in her own self-doubt that it manifests into this horrible nightmarescape.
When we see Nicte enact these delusions on our unit, what we're seeing is what happens when a spree attack takes place. In the pilot, Scylla walked into that mall, released a sound from the balloon, and all of these people killed themselves. We never knew what these people were thinking when they were doing that, but now we do.
Scylla, having been in the spree and used this kind of work at a larger scale, is an advantage for the unit, as Scylla knows how important it is to break through, to reach the person, to break their delusion of this fake reality, bring them back to the real world,
Scylla plays a big role in shifting the girls out of their visions, and I think it's one step in earning the trust and forgiveness, not only of the group, but especially for Raelle. And it's the beginning of her redemption, I'd say.
At the end of the episode, Scylla's getting prepared to leave Raelle once again. There's a disappointment. She hoped that she would have gained her trust and that there was something there. She was hopeful up until this point. But when Raelle walks away to catch the helicopter with the others, Scylla's just left there very alone in the world. The joy and the surprise when she runs back and brings her in to this wonderful kiss is beyond word for Scylla. It's everything she wanted.
It was literally scripted to kiss like we had never kissed before, which I hope it was encapsulated.
It's still not saying everything's back to normal. It's still not saying everything's okay, but it's a kiss of hope and it's a kiss of love.